Hey, good evening. I hope you're doing well. I've been thinking about forgiveness lately, but not forgiveness in the way we usually talk about it. I'm talking about forgiving ourselves, and that is normally something I don't even believe in. It's just, I've been trying to toy with the concept in my own head and trying to be okay with it. So I'm talking about forgiving ourselves, and something I heard recently stopped me, like literally in my tracks. The person was talking about guilt and shame, and they said something along the lines of, forgiving yourself doesn't mean it didn't happen. It doesn't erase what you did, and it doesn't make something okay that wasn't okay. But it does mean you stop allowing something from your past to destroy your future. For me, that line was wow. Wow. It landed with a thump. Because then I started thinking about my own life and wondering how many times I've unconsciously punished myself for things I've done. Things I'm not proud of. Choices I wouldn't make today. Things I said, things I did, situations I got myself into, ways I behaved when I was angry or hurt or scared or overwhelmed, or just having a tantrum and wanted to do things my own way, that kind of stuff. And I've done some really stupid shit. There. I said it. It's out there. It's not that I've ever hid it, but yeah, it was necessary. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you all of it. Some things, they just belong to me, and your things belong to you, and that's okay. Some things involve other people, and some things simply don't need to be dragged back into the light for any kind of public consumption, if you get what I'm saying. But I know what they are. And I wonder how many of us are walking around with an invisible list, just like that. Going through everything, ticking it off every day, and cringing at the thought of it. Because something occurred to me that was actually pretty disturbing. I think there have been many times in my life when I literally believed I deserved less because of things I'd done before. In my last relationship, in one of the relationships I was in the last few years, sometimes the partner was very selfish and demanding and like abusive in different ways. But I would think to myself, well, I deserve this for all the shitty things I've done in my life. And then other things as well. Maybe I deserve the crappy job. Maybe I deserve to be treated badly like that. Maybe I just shouldn't expect too much. Maybe I also shouldn't think too highly of myself. It's like the struggling. It was some kind of penance. And when I really looked at that, I thought, what the hell am I doing? How long is this sentence going to be? A life sentence? 5 years? 10 years? 20? The rest of my life? And at what point have I paid enough for being a human being who made some bad decisions? And I'm not talking about avoiding accountability. That's important to me. If I've hurt someone and there's something appropriate I can do to repair it, that's different. If I owe someone an apology, I can apologize. If I've behaved badly, I can acknowledge that. If there's something about myself that I need to change or take a deeper look at, then I need to change it. But accountability and lifelong self-punishment, that's not the same thing. Maybe that's where I've misunderstood forgiveness. I've always gotten caught up with this idea of forgiving myself. Like, it just was like, oh, get over it. Stop it. Anyways, let me continue. Because part of me would think that, forgive myself for what? Especially when I wasn't deliberately trying to hurt somebody. I wasn't sitting there plotting the terrible thing or some kind of terrible thing or experience. Sometimes I was simply inside a tornado of emotions, experiences, circumstances, and wounds, making decisions with whatever capacity I had at that particular moment. And with all those examples, most of them were not good decisions. But it doesn't erase the consequences, and I know that. But I'm putting all that there for context because that matters. And I think maybe what I'm learning isn't necessarily that I need to forgive who I was. Maybe I need to forgive the action. I can look at something and say, yep, I did that, and yep, that happened. And yes, there may have been consequences. Oh, for sure, if I could go back knowing what I know today, I might and probably would choose differently. And no, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life proving how sorry I am by destroying what remains of this life on earth. I can't believe 60 years has gone by. And that's the part that hit me. Because what does continuing to punish myself accomplish? It doesn't change anything. It doesn't help anybody that I may have hurt. And it doesn't undo any of the decisions that I made. It just creates another casualty. My future, my life, my day. And maybe that's one of the differences between guilt and shame. Guilt can say, I did something I wish I hadn't done. Shame says, there's something wrong with you or with me. Those are very different sentences. One leaves room for growth, and the other, well, that becomes your own little personal prison. And I've spent enough time in that prison. I'm approaching another chapter of my life now, and I'm beginning to understand something. I wish I'd understood much earlier. But it's that I don't have to keep paying for every version of myself that I've ever been. She was learning. Sometimes she screwed up, sometimes massively. Sometimes she knew better and did it anyway. Sometimes she didn't know better at all. Sometimes she was surviving and didn't realize it. Sometimes she was angry and also didn't realize it. Sometimes she was impulsive. Sometimes she made choices because she couldn't see beyond the moment she was standing in. But every one of those versions eventually became the woman sitting here talking to you today. So maybe forgiveness isn't saying it was okay. Maybe forgiveness is saying, look, it happened. I understand it differently now. I've taken whatever lesson there is for me to take from it. And I am no longer going to use it as evidence that I don't deserve a good life. That feels completely different to me. Let me say it again. Maybe forgiveness is saying, look, it happened. I understand it differently now. I've taken whatever lesson there is for me to take from it, and I am no longer going to use it as evidence that I don't deserve a good life. Does that feel completely different to you? Because it does to me. Because I can't build the rest of my life while continually prosecuting myself for the first part of it, or different parts of it, and neither can you. Maybe you've done things you're ashamed of. Maybe there's a decision you still cringe about. I do. Maybe you hurt somebody. I have. Maybe you hurt yourself. I've hurt myself plenty. Maybe you stayed somewhere too long. Oh my God, how many chapters of my life, and maybe yours, could you write about that? Maybe you left something you wish you'd fought for. I also feel that. Maybe you made choices from fear, anger, loneliness, desperation, or simply not knowing any better. Whatever it is, perhaps there's a question worth asking. Have I learned from this? Or am I still punishing myself for it? Because those two are not the same thing. Learning moves us forward. Punishment keeps us chained to the scene of the crime. Let me say that again. Learning moves us forward. Punishment keeps us chained to the scene of the crime. I don't want to live there anymore. I want to take responsibility for my life without condemning myself to it. I want to be able to look backward and say, you know what? I see her. I understand more now than she understood then. And no, I don't approve of everything she did, but I don't hate her. And she doesn't owe me the rest of her life. Maybe that's forgiveness. You're not erasing. You're not excusing. You're not forgetting. You're releasing and letting it go. Taking the lesson and putting down the sentence. Because whatever happened yesterday, I still have a future. And I don't think my past gets to have that too. This is a place to pause. And maybe today, that's the pause. What are you still making yourself pay for? And has the bill already been paid? Now, if you like this podcast, and I hope you do, and if you've gone and looked at a few other ones, please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and give them a watch from beginning to end if you can help that. Because that helps the channel get boosted up in the algorithm so more people will find it. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you share it. Thank you so much. I love you. Shirley.